What kind of love makes a man risk everything, his title, his legacy, his father's wrath, just to stay connected to a woman he was forced to let go? Because that's exactly what Sheikh Hamdan did. Behind the palace walls of Dubai, where tradition speaks louder than feelings and duty often drowns out desire, there's a love story that refuses to die, a story the public was never meant to know. And at the center of it is a woman named Haadiya Zen, the only person who ever truly held Hamdan's heart. This isn't about fairy tales or arranged marriages, it's about what happens when love collides with power, when a crown prince chooses emotion over expectations, when a man, born into privilege, is haunted by the one decision that still keeps him awake at night. You've heard of royal divorces, but have you ever heard of a royal love that refuses to end, even after the papers were signed? Because despite everything that's happened, Sheikh Hamdan just won't let Haadiya go, and once you understand the real reasons behind it, you might not blame him. Long before the headlines, the scandals, and the royal commands, there was Haadiya Zen. She wasn't born into royalty, she didn't come from a powerful tribe, but she had something that Sheikh Hamdan couldn't ignore, a quiet strength, a magnetic charm, and a heart that saw him not as a prince, but simply as a man. They met in secret, away from the cameras, away from the expectations. And over time, their bond deepened into something undeniable. But in a royal world, undeniable doesn't always mean acceptable. Sheikh Mohammed, Hamdan's father and the ruler of Dubai, had other plans that didn't include Haadiya. He arranged for Hamdan to marry Sheikha Thani al-Maktoum, a decision rooted in legacy, not love. Hamdan didn't fight it, at least not outwardly, because in the royal family, obedience isn't optional, it's inherited. But even after marrying Thani, Hamdan couldn't let go of Haadiya. She remained the quiet fire in his soul, the one person who reminded him who he really was beneath the crown. And that was the beginning of a story that would turn the entire palace upside down. In the palace, secrets don't stay hidden for long. It didn't take much time before Sheikha Thani discovered what had been kept from her, that her new husband's heart still belonged to someone else, and not just anyone, but Haadiya Zen, the woman he never stopped loving. What followed wasn't a confrontation, it was an exodus. Thani didn't beg for attention or try to fix what was broken. She packed her bags and left Dubai for London, creating distance not just from Hamdan, but from the very marriage she had been forced into. And with Thani gone, a quiet window opened. For the first time in years, Hamdan was free to make a choice based on love, not obligation. He reached out to Haadiya again, and this time he didn't let go. The two married in private. No grand announcement, no lavish ceremony. Just two people reclaiming the love they were once told to bury. Together they started a family, raising two children, Shaika and Rashid, in the shadows of a royal system that had once torn them apart. For a brief moment, it seemed like Hamdan had finally broken free from the expectations of his bloodline. But that freedom wouldn't last, because when you're a crown prince, even love comes with a deadline. Just when it seemed like Sheikh Hamdan had finally carved out his own path, the crown reminded him who was really in control. His father, Sheikh Mohammed, wasn't done pulling the strings. Word spread within the palace that the royal bloodline needed to be preserved. And to do that, Sheikh Mohammed demanded something unthinkable. Sheikh Hamdan had to bring back Sheikha Thani, not for love, not for reconciliation, but for duty, for legacy, for a child that would carry only the most acceptable royal blood. Thani, now living comfortably in London, didn't return empty-handed. She agreed to come back, but only under one condition. Haadiya had to be erased from the palace completely. That meant divorce. Hamdan was cornered. Torn between the woman he loved and the father he couldn't defy, he made the most painful decision of his life. He let Haadiya go. Not because he wanted to, but because he was forced to choose between love and loyalty to the throne. And the betrayal didn't stop there. Sheikh Mohammed didn't allow Haadiya to take her children with her. Stripped of her title, her home, and even her children, Haadiya was sent back to England, living quietly with her parents while her heart remained shattered. For Sheikh Hamdan, the cost of obedience wasn't just emotional, it was spiritual. He had followed the rules, and in doing so, he lost the only person who ever made him feel whole. But what no one expected was that even after the divorce, his connection to Haadiya would only grow stronger. Yeah, you can force a man to sign divorce papers, but you can't make him stop feeling. Despite everything, the pressure, the distance, the silence, Sheikh Hamdan never truly let go of Haadiya Zen, and the reasons go far beyond just romance. This isn't about obsession, it's about something deeper, something unshakable. Reason one, the guilt he can't shake off. Hamdan didn't leave Haadiya because she failed him. He left her because he was told to, and that decision has haunted him every day since. He knows she gave him nothing but love, loyalty, and peace, and in return he broke her heart for politics. That guilt is a shadow that follows him everywhere. Reason two, the love never left. They say true love doesn't die, it just waits. And in Hamdan's case, it never even had to wait long. After the divorce, he spiraled into emotional darkness. He's even admitted privately that life lost its meaning without her. Haadiya was never just a partner. She was his calm, his inspiration, the light of his eyes. And without that light, everything else dimmed. Reason 3. The unfinished story. Deep down, Hamdan knows he owes her more than silence. He knows he didn't fight for her when it mattered most, and now he wants to make things right. Whether it's redemption or unfinished love, he's driven by a quiet need to give back what was taken from her. Reason 4, a mother's role can't be replaced. Even after everything, Hamdan made sure Haadiya stayed close to their children. He bought her a private mansion, not a petty gift, but a space where Shaika and Rashid could grow up near their mother. He understands the value of a mother's presence, even if the palace doesn't. Reason 5, she never wanted his wealth, only his heart. While others chased titles, luxury, and influence, Haadiya never asked for any of it. She didn't demand millions to return, like Sheikh Thani allegedly did. She never leveraged her position for power. That quiet dignity, that loyalty without greed, is something Hamdan hasn't forgotten. And maybe that's why, even in her absence, Haadiya remains irreplaceable. Because in a world where everyone wants something from him, she was the one person who just wanted him. You won't find it on any official royal map. No cameras, no press coverage. Just a quiet estate, nestled away from the palace glare, paid for in full by Sheikh Hamdan. That's where Haadiya Zen lives now. After the forced divorce, Hamdan couldn't protect her in public. But behind the scenes, he was still doing everything he could to keep her close. He bought her a mansion, not as a parting gift, but as a sanctuary. A place where she could heal, live in peace, and most importantly, be with their children. While the palace pushed her out, Hamdan found a way to bring her back in through the only door still open to him, fatherhood. Shaika and Rashid now split their time, visiting the mansion often. And every visit is a reunion between mother and child, and between Haadiya and the man who never really left her. Insiders say the mansion isn't just a house, it's a quiet act of defiance. A message that says, you may have taken her title, but not her place in my life. There's no paparazzi at those reunions, no grand gestures, just moments, small, intimate moments that prove their connection never broke. And every time Hamdan visits that mansion, he steps away from the throne and closer to the life he actually wants. It's not loud, it's not dramatic, but it's real. And what's happening behind those gates is far more powerful than anything the crown could ever control. The royal court may appear calm from the outside, but behind closed doors there's a quiet storm brewing. Rumors have been circulating among palace insiders and royal watchers alike, and they all point to one thing. Sheikh Hamdan isn't done with Haadiya Zen, not even close. Some reports suggest he's been laying the groundwork for something that would shock even the most seasoned royal observers, a plan to bring Hadia back to the palace, not as a secret, not in the shadows, but in a position even higher than Sheikh Thani. It sounds unthinkable, but people close to the situation claim Hamdan has been slowly challenging the system from within, rewriting the rules in ways no one dares speak about publicly. And what fuels this quiet rebellion? One word: love. There's also talk of tension behind the scenes, not just between Thani and Hadia, but between Hamdan and his father. Sources say Sheikh Mohammed still expects obedience, but Hamdan is no longer the crown prince who bows without question. He's changed, hardened, more strategic. Even his poetry has shifted, less about duty, more about longing, hope, and redemption. Fans have speculated that his most recent verses aren't just metaphors, they're coded messages. To Hadia, and perhaps to anyone listening closely enough. Of course, none of this has been confirmed officially, but in royal circles, silence often says more than any statement ever could. And when someone like Sheikh Hamdan moves quietly, you can be sure he's moving with purpose. Sometimes the truth doesn't need to be shouted. Sometimes it only needs to be whispered between the lines of a poem. In recent years, Sheikh Hamdan's poetry has taken a sharp turn. Once full of royal pride and visions of duty, his verses have become more personal, raw, and hauntingly emotional. One poem in particular caught everyone's attention. In it, he speaks of a woman with eyes like peace and a love that time could not erase. He describes her as the final light in my darkest hour and ends with a vow: until my last breath, I'll wait where love left me. He never mentioned Hadia by name. He didn't need to. Everyone knew exactly who those words were for. What's more powerful than a love letter written in plain sight, hidden only by poetic form? That poem wasn't just an expression, it was a confession, one the world couldn't ignore. It's been said that real love doesn't die, it evolves. And in Sheikh Hamdan's case, it transformed into something eternal, something that even the crown, the court, or tradition couldn't silence. His poem wasn't about heartbreak, it was about hope. Hope that someday, somehow, Haadiya Zen will return, not just to his life, but to his side, where he always believed she belonged. And whether the palace allows it or not, his heart already has. In a world ruled by titles, arranged destinies, and ancient expectations, Sheikh Hamdan made a choice few men in his position would dare to make. He chose love, not the kind that fits perfectly into royal photos or state ceremonies, but the kind that defies logic, the kind that survives betrayal, divorce, and distance. Haadiya Zen was never just a chapter in his life. She was the story. He may have signed the divorce papers, he may have followed orders, but in his heart, he never let her go. From secret mansions to silent poetry, from stolen moments with their children to unspoken acts of defiance, every part of Hamdan's life still echoes her name. And maybe that's what makes this story so different from the typical royal saga, because this isn't just about forbidden love. It's about a man raised in power who found something even more powerful, someone who saw him not as a crown but as a soul. And no matter how much gold sits on his shoulders or how many laws are carved into marble, there's one truth he keeps coming back to. Love is the only thing that ever made him feel free. So here's the real question. If you had everything, wealth, power, status, but still felt empty without one person, would you fight the system to get them back? Or would you do what Sheikh Hamdan did, keep loving them anyway, even if the world said you couldn't? Because sometimes love doesn't need permission, it just needs to survive.